Hi, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome or welcome back. It's Mac.
And Blair.
And this is our podcast where we like to talk about parenting. We are a parent with 6 children. We have 2 twins. They were born last year. Our oldest is 12.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the ages. You could do it.
No.
12,
Put me on
10.
Wow. 8 and 7. We just had a birthday, so we're excited. It's birthday season.
It is birthday season because there's another birthday coming up in a couple weeks. That'll be our second oldest child, and our oldest son, Trey, will have a birthday here in a couple weeks. His birthday is right after mine, so yeah, it is birthday season.
It's birthday season.
So again, if you're new here, that's what we talk about. We talk about parenting. We talk about raising and rearing children and getting them from one stage to the next. And I'm excited because there has recently been a big development with the twins. Malachi has teeth. He has two.
Yes.
Has 2 teeth. And it's so funny because they're twins, right? So the boy-girl twins, but he has 2 teeth, and Mackenzie, who chews on everything.
She chews on everything. She looks like she's chewing when she's eating. She has no teeth.
Not even the little ridges that say she's about to get
ridges,
teeth.
No feeling of any, no like, oh, they're lightning. No.
Nothing.
No.
No teeth. But
Just
she's
the gums.
chewing on everything. She's gumming away. But he has 2 little teeth.
His teeth
And that's
coming through.
Yeah, and then Matthew lost a tooth last week.
Matthew lost a tooth. Yeah. Lots of teeth things
Teeth
going
coming,
on.
teeth going, and there's a lot of that. Our kids, we don't even pull their teeth anymore. I used to pull their teeth, but now they just sit there and they.
Yes.
Trey
Trey was very adventurous, and he never let Daddy pull his teeth. He could always figure out how to get it out.
Yeah, and so honestly, my kids been pulling their own teeth for years now. Once they figured out a little pattern for them, they'll just come on. Oh, I pull my tooth, in a non-painful way. They continue to work with it over the course of weeks until they get it out.
And we encourage them. We tell them from time to time, hey, are you still wiggling your teeth? Is it still loose? Do you want me to look at it? You want me to do anything for it? Usually they tell us no.
Yeah, and so all those baby teeth are out, or they're coming out. I think Blakely lost her tooth a couple months ago, and she's on the tail end of all of that. So yes, teeth are constantly coming and going. The tooth fairy's busy. Matthew lost the last tooth, so there's no tooth fairy visit for him for that one. The tooth fairy's busy. It is a lot of activity to try to keep those teeth counted. But Malachi has 2 teeth. So I wanted to talk today about the fact that we get a lot of questions about having a large family. So when we go out, we know we're going to get looks, right? Because it's me, Blair, and literally 6 kids. So there's 4 walking children, and we're pushing a
very large push chair.
double stroller, right? Double stroller push chair, and that's what we have. And so we get a lot of looks, and it's normal. I mean, because when I was not the person with all the kids, I would look if I saw a herd coming through, like, wow, that's a big family, right?
Yeah.
'Cause you don't. Go ahead.
And now we're just looking. We're the ones being looked at.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't take offense to it when people stare at us because of all of the kids, and we have a lot of people come up and like, wow, we get phrases like, well, you have your hands full, and
Right.
yes, a lot of those things. And I always have these little jokey phrases with a lot of dads who come up and parents who also had a lot of kids. They love to tell us like, well, I had 6 as well, I had 4. So parents with a lot of kids. It's kind of a big big family club, right?
Right. And also, since we joined the twin club, there's always the parents coming up or the twins coming up that will say, oh, I'm a twin, or my cousin's a twin, or my mom's a twin. So.
Yeah, so it's a special group. You get to be a part of it. Either you're in or you're out. Right now we're in. I guess we're in forever, but it's a wonderful place to be. But there's questions also about what are some of the pros and cons of having such a large family. And let's talk a little bit about that, about some of the good parts and the bad parts of having a large family. We can't pretend like it's normal in this world where most families are 2 children. I think the average is
1.9 or 1.7.
Yeah, it's a little bit below 2. That's the average. And a lot of people that say, hey, we're 1 and we're done. We have friends who were 1 and done, and that's totally fine. This is not a judgment space, no judgment zone, right? If you have 1 and done, if you have 2, and then a lot of people say we want the boy girl, and a lot of people, if they get their boy girl, that's it. Are they like, hey, we did this once, we did it twice, that's it.
And we do also have friends that chose not to have babies.
And yeah, if you don't have any at all, that is also acceptable and also really okay. Everything is personal. Like what works best for you. We didn't start out planning on 6. You go back and
We
watch some of our
did
videos.
not.
We have a whole playlist talking about how.
I'm not having any more. Well, that playlist didn't end so well.
Yeah, yeah, it didn't. It didn't. There was a short that we did, and I was like trying to convince you to do 5, and then we did 6, and 6 popped up because we weren't planning for twins. So then we have a playlist to cover that. We could go back and look at that, the shock that we ran into when we found out we were having twins because we just didn't expect it, especially after having 4 singletons and then like, oh, one more baby and then 6. So go watch those videos and then come back to this one if you don't finish this one first. But we have a big family, and it's family planning is such an important thing, and everyone has their own method and can follow their own path, and I think everyone should follow their own individual path for their family planning. But our family planning has wound up with us having 6 children, so that's where we are. We're a large family, 6 kids. Let's start out with let's go like some of the down detractors and then come back with some of the positives. So, first off, what would you count as one of the downsides of having such a large family?
Downsides. Usually when we go to restaurants, we scare most hosts. We walk through the door and they're like, "Oh, that's such a big party." And yeah, there's several different ways to cope with that. We're like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You don't have to sit us all together. Like, just put the kids at a smaller table next to us. That'll be fine." And then other times, there's no way to.
Yeah, sometimes we don't get to eat out in restaurants. So we had a series of videos coming out where we were traveling, and we went to the restaurants. Blair and I went in, like there was just no space. Europe and a lot of the rest of we're in Europe, and a lot of the restaurants are just in generally smaller, right? Physically smaller spaces, and we would need 8 seats. I remember last year we were up in Scotland, and
And then even then, that was up to 9 because my mom was with
yeah, your
us.
mom with the sister. That was 9 of us, right? So it's hard to just walk in and seat 9. And then also, a lot of restaurants don't like to do reservations because they call that a large group. So
Right.
some restaurants like, oh, we don't do groups at large. Or if you want to do a group that large, you have to schedule it way ahead of time. So if we're out and we're traveling, we're moving around, it's hard to schedule those things ahead of time. So a lot of times we don't get to eat in the restaurant. We could go in, we do takeaway, and we bring it back because it's just hard to get everyone seated into a restaurant. Sometimes we can. We go out to eat during lunch, or we go out during off hours when we know that the restaurants won't be packed out. We do
Right.
that a lot to offset the fact that we can't get into rush hour. Like if it's during the main period where people are eating.
No, that's not going to work. We're not going to fit in. So we definitely know and understand that if we want to eat out, we usually go on off-peak hours to eat. And also, like I said, we also do 2 tables. The kids love sitting by themselves.
Yeah.
Like they're right next to us, but they think that's by themselves and they feel so adultish
Yeah.
eating by themselves.
Yeah, so we'll do like 2 booths. If we could get 2 booths, me and Blair and I and the twins will be in one booth, and then we have the big fours, we call them, in another booth, and we do that, and that's how we get into it. But restaurants really is one of the detractors of having a really large family. Another one that I can think of would be it's hard when we're going out because we travel a lot. That's kind of our thing. The name of the channel is 9 Before the Family Adventures. And we're always going on what we call adventures. We just travel, large and small. We go to countries. We go all over the UK. We love going places. It's hard, though, to find activities that range and scale and cover everyone.
That cover everyone or allow everyone to do it. Like right now, we want to go on this particular activity, but we can't because Matthew is still too young. So we're just going to have to hold off on that for a couple more years.
Couple more years. Yeah. And so we've been wanting to do this activity for years. And what we're running into, he's still too young. By the time we get him old enough, our oldest child may have aged out of that activity. She may have aged out. And I know you say, well, just go ahead and go and, let Matthew, but wow, you don't know his personality. If he wants to be, he's with the big kids. We call him the big 4. He's right there with the big kids. So we really would be unfair to him if we were to do a group activity that involves all the children and the big 3 get to do it and he doesn't get to do it. And he has to stand on the side with the babies.
We went to a couple of county fairs, and Matthew couldn't go on all the rides.
Yeah.
That was a really hard day.
Yeah. Yeah, because he wants to be one of the big kids. He just turned 7, so he is a little older, but he's been like this since he was 5. He's like, no, I'm a big kid. I'm not a
Yes.
baby.
Yeah.
And so we try to find activities that cover that range, but it is really difficult when you're talking 12 now is our oldest, down to 7. And even still, activities that Blair and I are interested in. So that's kind of hard. When we go out on our trips and travels, we have found it sometimes difficult to do something that everyone likes. So it kind of becomes all right, in the morning we may do an adult activity, which is like going to a botanical garden
Museum or
or
yeah.
museum
Yeah.
or something like that. And then in the afternoon, we try to swing by a kid type activity or inverse. But we try to make sure that we can cover everyone's
Right.
spectrum. We definitely don't go out and say everything is what the kids get. I don't believe in that at all. Parents, adults, just because you have children, your life should not just turn off. And some people do that. Again, that's their choice. Our choice is parents should still be able to do some things that they find interesting. I actually find botanical gardens interesting. I actually find the museums interesting. And we try to make it as fun for the kids. And a lot of the museums that have little pamphlets and things kind of draw the kids in. The last botanical garden we went to, they had a relationship with like the Gruffalo.
The Gruffalo story. So it was find all the different Gruffalo things and flowers and meanings to show that spring was coming. So
And Matthew was really into that.
Matthew was way into that. That was really fun to watch and watch him try to find the flowers.
Yeah, the Gruffalo book has been a great addition to what our kids enjoy reading. So activities, doing those activities and being able to find something that everyone can participate in, that's a challenge. Not impossible to overcome, but it does become a challenge. So restaurants, activities, what else can you think of that becomes an issue when you're talking about having a large family?
I think those are the main things. And then, of course, making sure there's space for everybody to show their personality and make sure that they're heard.
Yeah, that is true. Making sure that each child gets that focused individual attention that they all need because they are all different. There are 6 individual and distinct personalities. Now, there are genetics, so there are some similarities there, and they've all been raised in the same home and reared in the same environment, so there are some similarities there, but still the way they interact inside of that environment, the way that they respond to things, each child is unique.
And I know you're thinking, like, how can you tell when something's not perfect or not completely right in the house? Trust me, we know. When we go in the refrigerator and we're like, Mac will ask me, "Did you eat my yogurt?" I'm like, "Why would I eat your yogurt? You know I don't like your yogurt." And then we have to stop and think, who else likes Mac's yogurt?
Yeah, yeah. So I have special things that I like. Yogurts, olives. They started disappearing over the last 6 months. Everything that I like, peanuts, everything that I like started disappearing. I was like, where's all this stuff going? And I have a little shadow, which is probably one of the boys. I think it's Trey, and in some cases Braden, and in other cases Blakely, because Trey decided he likes the peanuts. Blakely decides that she likes
The yogurt.
the yogurts. And so all the things I like started disappearing. And, there'll be other times where things would get messed up and Blair's like, did you move this? I'm like, hey, there are other people who live in this house. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. And so I get a pass sometimes because the kids are older and they're starting to move things around and they're starting to mess with stuff. But making sure that they get that attention and all those different personalities working together and trying to also allow for that to happen. We have one child, again, we talked about Matthew a lot this time. We haven't talked as much about Braden, but Matthew likes to go off sometimes by himself, and that's okay. We don't try to force a
Communal. You don't have to be around us or up under us all the time.
or with each other
All the
all the
time.
time. We understand that people need space. They need to be able to space out.
Right.
And so Matthew will go off and he'll play by himself, or Braden will go off and play by himself, or Trey. And Blakely, she's a little older now, so she spends a lot of time doing things individual to herself. And we're okay with that. There are times when we have together functions and activities that we're all participating in, playing Jenga or something like that. And then there are times when you're allowed to just go off and do whatever you want to do because we're not trying to force dangerous activity,
Right.
but still reaching out and making sure that we check in with each child every day. How was your school day? How was your school day? How was your school day? What did you work on? What did you work on? What did you work on? So as parent, we asking the same question, you know, multiple times,
Right.
but each child needs that individual touch point, right?
Right, right. And of course also understanding how to get the best response out of each child. Like of course we can't go up to everyone and say how was your day because our kids know us and they've started giving those little answers of it was good. I'm like, good. What is good?
Yeah, generic answers. That's the thing we're pushing against now. And our kids say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir, and say, did you do this? Oh, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And then started to give us responses without even thinking. They're like, hold on, did you really do it? And they stop like, oh no, I didn't. I'm like, oh no, don't just give us generic responses. So we're working through that. That's parenting. We're working through all of those issues.
Right.
You know what? I want to talk about one other thing that is really hard. And I think it's probably the most important thing and is one of consistent. That whole personality, making sure we're hitting those touch points and interacting with each child every single day. I think that is probably the most important thing, to be a parent that is present with your children every single day. Like that's the most
Right.
important part. But the part that's the hardest is clothes management.
Yes. There's
Oh my
just
God.
so now my new so back it sounds so crazy. Adulting it's got to be the hardest thing out there. So back in the day, I think like the biggest appliance I would want or really made me happy the last time we purchased a new one was like a refrigerator or something because it had so much space. Now my dream house, well, in addition to having like that sub-zero refrigerator and whatnot, would also have two washers, two dryers. When we first came to England, we had our temporary housing had two washers, two dryers. It was great. It's great because you could have both washers going, both dryers going. You could actually get through the whole family's clothing in one day. Now, we definitely don't live like that anymore. We definitely don't try to just get through all the family's clothing in one day. It's just too many people. But we could still use a second washing machine.
We
That
have,
would still make things a lot quicker.
yeah, we have two dryers. We have two dryers. We have one washer and two dryers. But you talk about when we first came to this country, and that is a true statement. However, we have added two more people to the house since we've gotten here, right?
Yes.
And at one point, there was three when Blair's mom was living with us. There were the two new people, and then her is the one older person. But it was a family of nine in one household, and that was a challenge to keep the clothes going. So
Right.
your mom's now back in the States, but the twins are still here. They're not going anywhere. The kids also, their clothes now, my daughter is almost as tall as Blair.
So Blakely's clothes and my clothes, if you're not paying attention, they get switched and swapped all the time. She's fighting with me over t-shirts because she said her daddy gave her that shirt. I don't know what she's talking about. It's my shirt. It's mine.
Trey wore to school one of Blair's
I
sweatshirts.
had the nerve to say he thought it was
It
his.
just took it.
I was like, this is
So
not
they're
yours.
starting to take our clothes. Like they're going to replace us. We get it, but yeah, they're starting to take clothes.
So soon.
But the point that I'm making is that the kids' clothes are just as large as adult clothes now. So it's just their clothes baskets get filled really quickly because the clothes are adult size. Actually, we went to go get them shoes quite recently, and
They both have
the
huge
two
feet.
oldest, Blakely and Trey, are no longer in kid sizes. They're in adult size shoes. So we tried to go get them kid sizes, which would go to six here in the UK, and they're like, no, too big. I mean, the shoes are too small, and so we had to move them up to the next level, which was the adult size shoes. Both Blakely and Trey are wearing adult shoes. So yeah, clothes management is hard. I am constantly, we're up all night long. It has to be a consistent thing, and we're still trying to get the system down and the cycle down right, because it's about washing, drying, folding, and putting away. And all four of those steps have to happen. We can get them washed, we can get them dried, and then we're trying to fold. And honestly, it is just too much for Blair and I to fold. The kids have been learning to fold their own clothes as well, but then we have to follow and make sure that those clothes are put up properly and make it to the right drawers, make it to the right place. And by the end of the week, they're all dirty again. Because if you really think about it, we're talking 8 people, and that is at least 8 set of dirty clothes every single day. 8 times 5,
40.
40 sets of clothes by the end of the week. Or if you want to do 8 times 7,
56.
56 sets of clothes by the end of the week. That's 1 week. And then you roll into the next week. Clothes management is probably our
Yes.
largest and most consistent challenge.
Yes, the kids try to make it easier for us since Trey and Blakely like wearing mismatched socks, and that's even bled over into Braden, so he's wearing mismatched socks. So today Trey had on purple heart was one foot, the other foot was a red dragon.
Yeah, I remember my niece started that like a decade ago. She would
Right.
wear mismatched socks, and our kids do it. It's intentional. It's not like they can't find the sock. They intentionally want to wear on this foot. I want this sock, and on that foot I want this sock. Totally cool. That is fine. So we've talked a lot about some of the challenges. What are some of the pros, advantages of having such a large family with so many children in it? What's some of the upsides to you?
There's always somebody to watch a movie with you.
Yeah, yeah. That is true. Always someone to watch a movie. There's always someone to talk to.
Right.
When you want to talk, there's always someone to talk to. And the kids, they just babble away at each other. The conversations, they get up there and we can hear them talking in their rooms and they just talk for hours and hours and hours. And they talk and they play and they talk and they play and they play and they talk. And they have such a wonderful relationship. But there is no space for loneliness. There's always someone to interact with,
Right.
and built-in friends.
Definitely built-in friends. Like they're your little mini me, so they already have like programmed or pre-programmed the same likes. Or you can introduce them to different anime or
Oh yeah,
different
oh yeah. I
children's
love,
books.
I love anime. All right, I've loved anime. Going back to college, and my parents actually bought my first animated video back when we were young, and when I was a kid. And so the cool thing is, when you're a parent, you can introduce your likes and your favorite activities to your children, and you can create little, people who like what you like. So that's been one thing. And so we have gone to anime conventions with the kids, and they love it. They love anime. They love watching it because I've been, not force feeding them, but like, hey, let's watch this together. So they're all into it. So I have people to go to anime conventions with me, and that also gives me the excuse to go to the animation anime convention. I'm like, oh, I'm
Right.
taking my kids. I'm just a parent taking my kids. That's the only reason I'm here. I'm taking kids.
I will say the last anime convention we went to also had like a video game console feature as well. So it had all the video game consoles. Really thought that was one of the cooler ones we've been to.
So yeah, we had video game competition. You and Blake were playing like Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. So we were all able to do that. That was an activity that everyone got to enjoy, the anime
Yes.
convention. But just kind of built-in activities, built-in friends, someone to talk to. There's so much laughter in the household, and when things are funny, I mean they're really funny.
Yeah.
Trey fell out of a chair once and
Yeah.
he didn't hurt himself, but he was just playing around and
He was
fell out the
excited.
chair. And boy, that was funny. Like so, and there's a lot of laughter. So when we're laughing, there's a lot of people to laugh. There's a lot of love, and there's a lot of people to share that love with. You were an only child. Can you talk about what that experience into how you see it with the exact opposite of with our children?
So with our oldest, Blakely, she gets to choose whether or not she wants to be around us. Oh, I'm gonna go be in my room, or I'm gonna sit on the couch and draw. She can choose. When I was coming up, there was no choices. It was just me. It was me and a book. So I read a lot. I read a ton when I was coming up. She reads a lot too, but she has people to go play with. She has babies to go and look at. She has her dad to go find a fish to talk about fish with him. So
Yeah, yeah. And so those are the things that I see that are really great about having the family. And one of the things we got from the teacher recently, like Braden's teacher, we were talking to her, and she says, "Oh, he talks about his brothers a lot." And to me, that was a great compliment. I love the fact that our children enjoy each other's company. They don't fight. A lot of people talk about that, about their kids are always fighting and are getting into fights and stuff like that. And, we've been blessed enough not to have
right.
a lot of that. And they get upset with each other. Come on, I don't want them. They're kids, and things happen, and they get upset. Oh, he hit me. Oh, he this. Oh, he pushed me. Oh, I tripped. But I'm talking about, where kids are actually fisticuffs with each other, throwing and fighting.
Yeah. Wow.
And, we've been blessed to almost never have those type of experiences
Right.
at all with the kids. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful blessing. I think it's just kind of a consistent parenting of don't hit. We're constantly pushing on like no hitting, no biting, no scratching, and it's at home and at school because we recognize that what is allowed at home will bleed into school, and so
Mhm.
we kind of keep a tight rein on that at home so it won't bleed into their school life, and so that's just kind of some of the things that we look at. But I think it's been a surprise and a blessing and really a wonderful experience. To have all of our children, to include the twins, which we haven't talked about much here, but the relationship between the big four and their little siblings, the babies, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
When they get home from school, who grabs the babies?
The kids. They're asking while we're still like on the way home, like, can I hold Malachi? Can I hold Mackenzie? Can I hold Malachi? Can I hold like there's a order, like Braden's gonna hold him first or Trey's gonna hold him first.
Yeah, they really enjoy the babies and the relationship there. If you're concerned about, hey, were they going to be feel pushed aside? They haven't. And we get home, they take the babies, and
Yeah.
then we really don't get them again until dinner time. Well,
Right.
actually, now they're all eating together at the same table, so the twins are in the high chairs, and we're all eating together. But then when the kids, the older big four, are going to go to bed, go take their baths, go to bed, that's when they drop the babies off, and they're like, "Oh, hey!" I get the little one, and I haven't
Finally get to
seen
see
you.
you.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
let them stay with they love them. They love having them, and if we have them, they're like, "Can we take them? Can we take them?" Even in church today, they were like, "Can we hold them?" And they held the babies up until they went to children's church. They just really are super interactive with it. They love spending time with them and talking to them.
Right. And it's really cool on the other side to see the twins respond to them. Malachi definitely knows who Trey is. He definitely knows who Braden is. So it's always great to see the big smiles on the twins' faces when they see their older siblings.
Yeah. So we get them, we pick them up. They're all the kids in the car, and then we bring the twins in the car. And one day I put them in the car, and all the kids were like, ah! I mean, it's really loud. And I was like, stop screaming, you're gonna scare the baby. I looked at the baby, baby's just laughing, and it's like, I love it. This is my space. This is what I've been waiting on all day to be with my people. And when Malachi sees Trey,
Yeah.
oh, the grins on his face when he sees his big brother. So those type things are what I get excited about, and that kind of fuels me and keeps me going. Like before I go into a big meeting at work or something like that, open up the pictures, look at the video, the kids having a great time together. Like, all right, that's what I'm doing. This close it up and going in and do that. But that's just kind of those are the big points for me of some of the pros and cons. Hey, if you have any questions or anything else you want to know about our family, about how we're living and how we're existing, we're here and we're trying to share some of our experience for others who may at some point go through this or they're going through it. So if you have any specific questions or anything you'd like to know,
Or if you have any tips on how to make our cons not be so cons, like and make them better for us. If you have some clothing management philosophies that you live by, let us know.
yeah, we definitely don't know it all. So this is a two-way street. If we can help you, we love that. If you can help us, we do read the comments. And so if you know something that can maybe help us as we're trying to work our way through all this, parenting is difficult, and we could all help each other, and that would be great. So drop down in the comments, let us know what you see, what you think, and give us your opinion on all of what we said here. And if you can help us, that would be great. But hey, I think that's it. We have to get back to the family, back to the kids. So until next time.
Take care.